So I know you've been saying for months and months that you want to wait for interest rates to drop before you enter this real estate market because you just can't get over the fact that they've been in the 7% range here for the last several months. And I've actually been telling you for the last several months that that is not the strategy, that it's going to cost you thousands of dollars in the long run. And today is the day that I am here to tell you, I told you so, because it's already happening and we've started to see a massive shift in the market despite the interest rates. That's right, people are okay with the interest rates today. So we are now here for our monthly market update. I can't wait to show you the numbers. Let's dive in. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Lewis, your local Temecula Valley realtor, and this channel is dedicated to all things living in the Temecula Valley, from new construction tours, neighborhood spotlights, things coming here to the Valley. I want you to know exactly what it's like living here in the Valley before you and your family make the move. And today we are here with another one of our monthly market updates to tell you exactly what is going on here in the local market. Let's take a look at the stats. First up, we always like to take a look at days on market. This is the stat that tells us how long a listing actually sits on the market before it opens escrow. And guess what? We're starting to see those numbers work their way down as we've anticipated heading into this spring season. For Murrieta, we are days on market right now of 31 days average on market. That is a 3-day drop down from 34 days on market the month prior. For Temecula, that number actually stayed the same, which has been an aggressive number here over the past few months anyways. That number is still at 27 days on market. And now as a buyer or a seller, that may sound like a lot to you because maybe you've been hearing stories about homes coming off the market the first weekend, and that is true. There is plenty of that actually happening, but it does account for some of the larger properties that we have here inside of Murrieta, Temecula, some stuff in La Cresta, in Duluth, in Wine Country. They do typically take a little bit longer to sell. So that's always gonna keep those numbers up a little bit compared to just what we're hearing mostly is most homes are selling within the first 7 days on market. Next up, let's talk about the percent of original list price. This is how much does a home get when they list their home for sale. And during the crazy COVID days, we saw this number up over 100%, up over 105% at times. And we've seen it backslide here over the last several months, but now we're starting to see it rebound month over month. And so traditionally, we usually see this number float somewhere in the 97% range. That's kind of the norm, but we've seen it creep above that back into more of a seller's territory. So for Murrieta, the percent of original list price right now is 99.8%. That is an increase from 99.7 the month prior. And for Temecula, that number right now is 99.6%, and that is a pretty good size increase from 98.6% the month before. So that means when it comes to putting in an offer on a home in Murrieta or Temecula right now, you are definitely coming in at asking price or potentially even greater than asking price if you want to compete with the competition that's out there right now. Next up, we've got month supply. This number is a look at if no new homes were listed today, how many months would it take for us to sell out of that inventory? And keep in mind, traditionally that number 6 month supply is typically a balanced buyers versus sellers market. We haven't seen that in years, and we are seeing those numbers getting down lower than typical. So right now you would say the springtime is typically when we would see inventory increase, which it has. However, so has buyer demand despite the interest rates that we've been talking about. So for month supply for Murrieta, that number is at 1.9 months. That means just nearly 2 months before we run out of inventory if no new homes were listed. That is an increase from 2.2 months the month prior. Now when it comes to Temecula, that number has also dropped down to 1.7 months. And that is a drop from 2.1 months the month prior. And so we're seeing a tighter and tighter inventory window. Despite the fact that we've got new inventory coming to the market, we're having more buyers that are becoming more comfortable with those rates and making purchases and grabbing that inventory before it can sit on the market. Now let's move on to closed sales, and this just gives us an idea of the activity in the market, how many homes are actually selling on any given month. For this month, we are at 125 closed sales for Murrieta. That is an increase from 122, so negligible increase there. Temecula actually saw a bit of a dip as far as closed sales, although we still saw that inventory number tighten up. So 98 closed sales in Temecula. That's a drop down from 119 the month before. So Temecula hasn't had as much of the inventory pop as we've seen in Murrieta, but both are seeing a decline when it comes to buyer demand versus the amount of listings available. Last but not least, let's talk about average sales price. And this is really where I have to lean into "I told you so" about the interest rates. We've seen a massive increase in home sale average price point here just over the last 12 months, which is as rates have been in the 7 to 8% range, where you guys were saying, "I'm gonna hold off, it doesn't make sense right now." And I told you it was gonna cost you thousands of dollars, and we're gonna take a look at that. For Murrieta, the average sales price right now is $710,000. That is an increase from $709,000 the month prior, so pretty much a wash there. For Temecula right now, our average price point is now $837,000. That is an increase from $821,000 the month prior, so a pretty hefty jump in the Temecula price point. Now this is where I get to the "I told you so" point. Now what we're gonna take a look at is what were the April 2023 numbers versus the April 2024 numbers, because again, you all wanted to wait because of those interest rates, and we said, hey, you need to jump in because the prices are gonna continue to go up, and that's what we've seen. Murrieta, as I mentioned, that price point right now is $710,000. Guess what? Just 1 year ago, it was $663,000. That means waiting 1 year has cost you $47,000 in your purchase price for the city of Murrieta. And actually, Temecula is even worse. The average price point in Temecula right now, $837,000. That is up from $761,000 the year prior. That is a $76,000 difference in price versus just a year ago. And so I know it hurts to take on an interest rate in the 7s or close to the 8% mark that we've seen at times. However, you're talking about saving $150 to maybe $300 a month in your payment, but this is costing you $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in your purchase price by waiting. And not only is that in your purchase price, that's in your property taxes and everything. There's nothing you can change about that. We've been saying it for some time. The interest rate is changeable when they get better. So if you can afford it, it does make sense to make that purchase regardless of the rates. So I'm sorry, I know I got a little heated there, but I've been saying it, and I know it sounds salesy for the last several years, as we've just been saying, I know rates aren't where you want them, but you still need to purchase anyways. But that's the cold hard data right there, and there's no end in sight, especially as inventory continues to tighten and people continue to buy. Prices have nowhere to go but up, so keep that in mind. Let's break this down for buyers versus sellers. What does all this data mean for you? Buyers, I think you get the point. It means you've got to act now before those rates drop, because guess what? When rates drop, prices are gonna go through the roof. If we've already seen a $40,000 and $70,000 increase in prices in just 1 year in a bad interest rate market, what's it gonna be like if we drop down to the 5% range? We're gonna see that inflated immensely. So the time to buy is now. Jump in before the rates drop, before more competition comes into the market. Now, what does this mean for sellers? Well, sellers, it's great news. Your prices are up, your days on market are down, things are getting easier there. And so I've got two things for you. Number one, you can hop out there and put your home up on the market right now and take advantage of the fact that there's still very limited inventory, even compared to similar spring times that we've had in years prior. So limited inventory means fewer choices for buyers, and they're typically more willing to negotiate with you, less willing to ask you for crazy amounts of repairs to your home. And so they're just a much more pliable and easy to work with buyer out there right now. You can also wait, right? Because when rates do come down, you have the ability to potentially list your home for sale for even more money than you could right now. The only flip side to that is then you're potentially looking at buying in a hyper competitive market if you're selling that house to buy another one. So you have to weigh that out and see what makes sense for you. Either is a good choice, because from here on out, we're seeing steady price increases year over year. We could be seeing 5, 6 to 7% this year and steady increases yearly after that. So now is a great time to jump in and make that purchase before things get worse. Now is a good time to get your house on the market, take advantage of low inventory. So that's it for our May 2024 real estate market update. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry I went off on you there for a minute, but I had to get it off my chest. If you enjoyed today's content, hit that like button for me. Leave a comment below. Any questions you have about the stats we discussed today, about moving to the Temecula Valley, we monitor those daily and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And last but not least, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you guys next time.